What's up guys, GarethWilliam414 here, and welcome to a brand new video on the channel. In today's video, Toon Trivia, facts about the Toon Archetype. I've tried something different with this video and I was firstly getting a lot of comments to cover them, but as well to improve on how I deliver my content to you. Instead of just reading these facts to you, I've scripted all of my research into the toons. Hopefully this gives the video more depth, but also sets me apart from other content creators covering facts on Yu-Gi-Oh, as I know this bothered a select few of you, but myself included. I want to constantly improve my content and release the best that I can, as well as setting myself apart from the crowd, so I hope this video does me justice and that you guys enjoy this just as much, even more, than previous videos. So of course, leave me a comment in the section below to let me know what you thought of this new style, and of course if you did enjoy it, let me know by smashing that like button. Let's see if we can break 350 likes on this video. So with that being said, let's get straight into the video. Toons are an archetype introduced back in the very early days of Yu-Gi-Oh, before things like Synchro or XYZ existed. They were first released in Spell Rulers in September of 2002. Later support came in those hard to get packs like tournament packs. All of the Toon cards were then re-released in Legendary Collection 3 Yugi's World, making them more accessible. They were of course made famous by the creator of the game himself, Maximilian Pegasus, as the toons were his archetype of choice. The best way I like to look at the toon archetype is that each monster is basically an over-exaggerated version of another monster in the game, basically a caricature, and sometimes an improved counterpart to the original monster. The main strategy of a toon deck is to directly attack your opponent, bypassing their monsters and going directly for game. For some toon monsters, Toon World is a requirement for them to be able to attack the opponent directly while they control monsters, and some of them need it just to be summoned in the first place. The archetype has a few handy spell and trap cards like Toon Table of Contents for example that can aid you in adding toon cards to your hand. As a select few, toon monsters can be special summoned from the hand by their own effect, of course while you control Toon World. It is actually possible to summon multiple toon monsters in one turn. Obviously level 5 or higher toon monsters require tributes for their special summon. As these tributes are not tributes for a tribute summon, you can actually tribute token monsters generated from cards like Scapegoat, which if used right can fill your board real quick, intimidating your opponent. Their downside is that most toon monsters cannot attack during the turn when they were summoned, making them agonizingly slow, and if Toon World is destroyed, they follow in its footsteps. However, in Dragons of Legend 2, Toons suddenly got the spell and trap support they long desired, one being an upgraded Toon World in Toon Kingdom, and the others using your opponent's cards for your advantage, like Mimicat for example. This gives the Toons more power, making them a force to be reckoned with. So let's start with the monsters. Blue Eyes Toon Dragon is of course the Toon counterpart to the ferocious Blue Eyes White Dragon, and with an impressive 3000 attack points, both Blue Eyes Toon Dragon and the Toon Ancient Gear Golem rule supreme as the strongest of the Toons in terms of sheer power. In the anime, when Kaiba faced off against Pegasus, he said of his dislike of the card because he saw it as a disgrace to his beloved Blue Eyes White Dragon. But let's face it, it's not hard to get on Kaiba's bad side really, is it? Manga Rioran is the Toon version of Rioran. Most noticeably, this guy is the only Toon monster without Toon in its TCG card name, though its Japanese name is Toon Dragon Ega, which obviously has Toon in it, thus adding it to the Toon family. Manga Rioran is the only fire attribute Toon monster, and is also seen on the front cover of Toon World itself. Also, in the anime, Manga Rioran's giggle largely resembled the one of that lovable mystery-solving hound, Scooby-Doo. Next up is the Red Eyes Toon Dragon, which is a counterpart to the Red Eyes Black Dragon. Its artwork was intended to pay tribute to its original counterpart, though most noticeably the pose is mirrored, and although this card is supposed to be the counterpart to the Red Eyes Black Dragon, its effect is very similar to that of the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, but of course catered towards the needs of the Toon archetype. But what I really like about this card is its compatibility with Toon Dark Magician, which was made to reflect the friendship of the original counterpart's owners, Yugimoto and Joey Wheeler, which I personally think is awesome. Toon Ancient Gear Golem, obviously the Toon counterpart to Professor Crowler's Ancient Gear Golem from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, as mentioned before, shares top spot with the Blue Eyes Toon Dragon as the strongest Toon monster. He has one major difference from its original counterpart in that the Toon Ancient Gear Golem can be special summoned, whereas Ancient Gear Golem lacks this ability. Toon Barrel Dragon is the Toon counterpart to Barrel Dragon. The most noticeable difference between these two, aside from the obvious Toon pros and cons of course, is that the card has the ability to destroy any card, whereas Barrel Dragon is only capable of destroying monster cards. To put further differences between them, Toon Barrel Dragon's artwork shows it with cartoon style eyes, a bright colour scheme compared to Barrel Dragon's black TCG artwork, and it shoots pellets rather than bullets from the cannons. Toon Buster Blader doesn't really have any differences from its counterpart, which of course is Yu-Gi-Moto's classic Buster Blader, other than the fact that I personally think this card's artwork looks like it should be a monster that we'd see in Weevil Underwood's deck. I just want to call this card Toon Buster Bug or something. Toon Cannon Soldier is the Toon counterpart to Cannon Soldier. Its artwork shows a cartoonish change in its eyes, and instead of the glass surface that shows the original inner parts, they're replaced with a set of teeth. Its whole demeanour really reminds me of Crazy Bones. I think this guy would just fit right into a set of those things. Next up we have Toon Cyber Dragon, which shares all the effects as its counterpart, Zane Truesdale's awesome Cyber Dragon. The card's artwork is obviously the Cyber Dragon's original TCG artwork, but parodied in that classic Toon way. Toon Dark Magician is the Toon counterpart to Dark Magician, and the Dark Magician counterpart to Toon Dark Magician Girl. What I really like about this card is how they have incorporated effects that are similar to Dark Magician support cards such as Dark Renewal, Eternal Soul and Magician's Navigation into the card's effect. I personally think this is a very cool idea, and for me makes this Toon card one that I would really like to run myself. I also like the idea of the Dark Magician having its own effects, though for nostalgic reasons obviously the original card will always be a normal monster. I just think it would be an interesting fiction to explore. Dark Magician Girl is the Toon counterpart to the ever popular Dark Magician Girl, and one that we all knew was eventually going to be made into a Toon. Like the previous card, this is also the Dark Magician Girl counterpart to the Toon Dark Magician. There is one huge difference that this card has above all of the other Toon monsters, which is its ability to attack on the turn it is summoned, which I believe makes this one of the best Toon monsters released so far. In this card's artwork, the Toon Dark Magician Girl is shown emerging from the Toon table of contents. And in the game Yu-Gi-Oh! The Dawn of Destiny, this card appears in the credits, though even through cheating, the card is not obtainable in the game. As well as this, in the English version of the game Yu-Gi-Oh! The World Championship 2007, they had forgotten to remove the hexagram from the Toon Dark Magician Girl's chest, which of course has been removed from all TCG artworks featuring the Dark Magician Girl to reduce the risk of religious offence. The Toon Gemini Elf is the Toon version of the card Gemini Elf. And like I previously mentioned when talking about the Toon Dark Magician, other than the standard Toon effects, this card was given an effect that the original card didn't possess, which was if this card inflicts battle damage, you discard a random card from your opponent's hand. This was actually the first Toon card that this was applied to, later followed by the Red Eyes Toon Dragon and of course Toon Dark Magician. In terms of this card's name, Mystical Elf has a feminine Portuguese name, whereas this card's name is masculine despite the card being two female elves. Toon Goblin Attack Force is the Toon counterpart to Goblin Attack Force, and if you look closely at this card's artwork you can see that two of the pesky goblins are facing off against each other in the back right. Toon Masked Sorcerer, Toon counterpart to Masked Sorcerer's design, is said to have slight resemblance to the genie from Disney's classic Aladdin. I find it's facts like these that when mentioned you never look at that card in the same way again, as I can really see the resemblance between the two. Toon Mermaid is the Toon version of Red Archery Girl, and unlike the other two monsters, this card's name is the only one not to keep part of its original name. Though in the OCG this doesn't apply, as the Red Archery Girl is actually called Bow Wielding Mermaid. Earlier I mentioned that Manga Rioran can be seen on the cover of Toon World. Toon Mermaid, however, can be seen on its back cover. This card was another monster to be given the cover-up treatment. In the game Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel of the Roses, the Toon Mermaid's artwork and appearance was edited so that she was wearing more clothes, exactly like her counterpart, Red Archery Girl, in the TCG. Toon Summon Skull, this is obviously the Toon counterpart to Summon Skull, and in this card's artwork we can see that the torso extends out of the border of the card, and in the anime it is confirmed that the torso has extended out from Toon World itself, as we can see it is frequently attached to it. This differs when it comes to some of the games however, where cards can be seen outside their card artworks, as the Toon Summon Skull can be seen to appear with legs. This is also the only Toon monster to have a completely different colour scheme from its original counterpart. Here, Toon Summon Skull is completely turquoise, whereas the original Summon Skull has multiple colours. And finally, Toon Alligator, which really is the only Toon monster not to be classed as a proper Toon monster, as it has none of the effects held by the others, and as such does not require Toon World in any way. Next, I'm going to cover some of the Toon support cards, and where else best to start than the classic Toon World itself. Toon World is the only spell card that doesn't have an effect, only a cost. It is said that this card was based on a children's pop-up book, which we can see when the book is open. Maximilian Pegasus told us that the page Toon World opens to is called Evil Castle, which is of course the layer of the Toon summoned skull. In the first Japanese print of Toon World, and in some of the video games, Toon World ran with a completely different effect. You would pay 500 life points in your standby phase to ensure Toon World stayed on the field. However, if Toon World was sent from the field to the graveyard, its controller would gain all the life points they had previously paid to keep it in play. As previously mentioned, on the cover of Toon World we can see both Manga Rioran and on the back cover Toon Mermaid. Toon World appears in these card artworks: Toon Defense, Twister, Shine Palace, Toon Table of Contents, Shadow Toon, and Toon Dark Magician. This card now has an improved counterpart, Toon Kingdom. This card gives the Toon monsters all the abilities they had in the second series of the anime, which include immunity, they are unable to be targeted by card effects, and most noticeably, there is no life point cost to activate this card. In the card's artwork, Toon Kingdom's book cover appears to have a Toon version of Flying Penguin on the back cover, though we can't identify the monster on the front cover. Toon Table of Contents is arguably one of the best Toon cards in the game, as it is the Archetype's themed searcher. Looking into the card's artwork, we can see that it has been translated wrong, as it reads Index at the top of the open page, rather than its name Table of Contents suggests. Further proof suggesting its mistake is that the index of a book is typically found at the back, whereas the Table of Contents is at the front. But we can't forget the fact that this could actually not be a mistake, as in some cultures the book is read from right to left, whereas we are just used to reading from left to right, meaning the artwork could actually just be showing us the back of the book. And looking further into this card's artwork, we can clearly see monsters being referenced in the Table of Contents. Demon refers to Toon Summoned Skull, Dragon refers to either Manga Rioran or Blue Eyes Toon Dragon, Mermaid is referencing Toon Mermaid, and of course Elf is a reference to Gemini Elf. Other support cards include Toon Rollback, Shadow Toon, Comic Hand, which was the first card to have the ability to give another monster an effect, Toon Briefcase, Toon Mask, Toon Defense, which may be a reference to Duelist Kingdom, as Toon monsters were immune to the attacks of non-Toon monsters by simply hiding in Toon World. And finally, Mimicat, whose name in the anime was Doppelganger, which means an apparition or double of a living being, which is referring to its ability to copy or mimic. The cat in this card can actually be seen in the artworks of Counter Meowshaw and Cat Confusion. Thanks for watching, guys. This was my video Toon Trivia, facts about the Toon Archetype. I hope you enjoyed the video and the new way I've brought it to you. Like I previously mentioned, let me know in the comment section below what you thought of the way I brought today's video to you, or if you have any more suggestions on how I can further improve, as bettering myself and the content I release is a key focus for me. As always, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by smashing that like button, and of course share this video with a friend that's into Yu-Gi-Oh, as it really helps this channel grow. If you're new here and you'd like to see more fact videos like this one, or are interested in the character deck stuff that I do, hit the subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all of my future releases. But once again, thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next video. Take care.